Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan, the voice behind ThatKaitoDan, and welcome one and all to my first RWBY review for the new volume. It's Volume 6, Chapter 1, August Limited. But before we begin, just to let you know that if you haven't seen it already, I reacted and discussed the Volume 6 opening in a separate video, so if you want to hear my thoughts about that, I'll leave a link in the card above and in the description down below. Also, and I really do stress this, please watch the episode first through the official sources before you watch my review, as I will be breaking down the episode to give you all my full opinions on it. Go watch the episode, support the show and the team that you love, and then come back here and see how I felt about the premiere. Otherwise, this is the last spoiler warning you'll get before this video truly starts. Also, if you want to see your comment featured at the start of next week's review, be sure to leave your comments down below and tune in next week to see if it gets featured. So at long last, the hype train has reached its destination and we've arrived at Volume 6. Opinions have wavered a lot on the previous volume, and with the reunited Team RWBY and Co. set to head off for their next target of Atlas, many of us were hoping that heading into this episode, the RWBY can start off on a high note to set the tone for the season to come. But did they accomplish that goal? Or did the volume's kickoff episode start off on the wrong foot? For the first time this volume, let's find out. We start off with a very literal cold opening as we scope over a beautiful looking snowy backdrop before diving right into some good old fashioned RWBY combat atop the August Limited train. Talk about kicking things off with a bang. This not only lets us get reintroduced to the four main girls via a nice lovely single dynamic shot panning through their various moves, but it sets up a rather intense scenario against the wicked looking Manticore Grimm, letting us at home know that this story isn't gonna rest on its laurels just cause it's the premiere episode. We also see the remnants of Team Juniper alongside Crow and Oscar getting involved too, but this is only a sample of things to come as an incoming tunnel rushes everyone to get into cover, closing this little fun opener as we then switch over to some more darker matters, namely Adam's return to the White Fang HQ. Turns out, Adam's actions at Haven did indeed come with some consequences, as his quick willingness to abandon his White Fang brethren the moment that the Belladonnas and the Faunus militia made things difficult for him has whiplashed right back in his face, with several members voicing their displeasure over their high leader. Problem is, they're kind of pissing off an already agitated Adam, and as the camera whisks over the room, we see and hear Adam tearing through his own forces just because they stand in his way, leaving their bloody corpses on the ground. It's a violent sight indeed, especially with Adam nonchalantly just sitting on his throne in amongst the cut down bodies, before the recollection of Blake causes him to lash out again, slicing up the throne before screaming out in a rage. It's a very short scene, but damn did I love it. It's exactly what I was hoping for in regards to Adam's current status as High Leader and towards his vengeance against Blake. Yes, the easy manner of his defeat in Haven didn't exactly help his overall threat level in the slightest, but I was very curious how the backlash of that incident would affect him as a character and as a danger to our heroes. What we got is a quick but effective reminder of just how chaotic and menacing the guy can be, and why he was always destined to fail as a leader. Obviously, he mainly took control of the White Fang simply for the power that he feels could be best used for his personal vendetta, more so than the betterment of his own people. And the moment some of that power was starting to slip through his hands, that came through the criticism and ridicule, he starts retaliating with violence and anger, cutting down even fellow Faunus simply because they were getting between him and his chance at payback. This will only cause more members to turn their backs on him and possibly join the new Faunus Brotherhood, meaning that Adam's continually being pushed against the wall because of the Belladonnas, and this should hopefully put his character back on the right path to him being more of a viable threat instead of just being a selfish ego and some bluster. We then cut to the train station in Haven, which really does look stunning. Just like in last volume, I really do love the Asian motif seen in the Mistral Kingdom, and the RWBY continue to make some very gorgeous and lively locations pop with the various colours and a well-crafted crowd. Miles better than some of the 2D shots that we had in the last volume's premiere episode. This at least makes the scene and the location feel alive, beyond just our main characters. Speaking of which, while we overlook the station, Crow is going over a letter that he's sending to Ironwood, letting the General and us watching know what's been going on these past 2 weeks. Since the Battle of Haven, the news has finally reported the incident, and a lot of the true details have been kept a secret. The ones behind the attack and their actual goal have not been detailed, and it's actually just been portrayed as the White Fang going after the CCT. Not to mention the reports say that it was Gira Belladonna and the Faunus militia who saved the day, alongside some pro-huntsmen and students that were around at the time, and Lionhearts Death is being described as him defending the score and dying as a result, instead of him actually being a key part of the attack. It actually makes perfect sense, honestly, to hide such troubling information from the general public. Not just to avoid any negative emotion spikes for the Grimm to chew on, but to also continue hiding the true fight with Salem's forces. Not to mention having the main heroes be dubbed as the Faunus militia instead of RWBY and the others, it does nothing but good for the general reception of this new group, and it's great early buzz to help the group be seen as a true force for good, compared to the more volatile White Fang. Afterwards, RWBY dashes on by to go to the wait, stop! I wonder how good the fan service is in that place. Anyway, it's time for some charming interactions with the youngsters. A nice little bit of topless Ren as well for the Ren sexuals, and RWBY easing some of Weiss's frustrations over having to go back to Atlas so soon after breaking free from her father's captivity. Also, RWBY smiles. Weiss's smiles, heck, all the smiles. Just protect these lot. They are just so good to us. It's here that we're then introduced to Dee and Dudley. No, not the Dudley boys from WWE, I mean the exclusive huntsman for the Argus Limited, with the pair trying and failing hard to win favor with the kids. Though what do you expect from a duo clearly based on Tweedledee and Tweedledum from Alice in Wonderland? Doesn't really help their cause as well when they get punked out by RWBY and Yank's silly little mocking expressions and Crow Braunwyn. See, this is what happens when you put in your huntsman info when drunk, Crow. Either way, this is all just harmless fun, showing off the group in a more positive moment after everything they've gone through. And I appreciate some more insight in how the general public are kept safe on such basic things as public transportation. Though I'm sure I'm not alone in thinking that the moment that these guys walked on screen, the death flags were waving. But you may have noticed that there's a certain Faunus girl that's not getting involved with the hijinks. Well, that's because Blake still has a few fond farewells to make, starting off with Ilya, who looks really good in her new clothes. Simple but effective. Not too cumbersome should she need to fight, but not too rough and kind of heavy to stop Ilya from blending in. I expect a lot of cosplays. Bless this poor child though, even after helping out at Haven and Menagerie, Ilya still feels like she doesn't deserve the second chance that Blake offered. But after seeing the White Fang's true side, she has faith in the new Brotherhood that they can truly make a difference. And it looks like this is gonna be where she's staying for the moment, trying to make up for where she failed in the past, with Blake's blessing. She is sad to see Blake leave again, though at least this time the two share a touching hug and they are leaving on good terms. Now it's time to say goodbye to Sun. And hello, Neptune. Hey buddy, we haven't seen you in a long time, not since the Battle of Beacon, and it's your first time in Poser too. He looks pretty good in the new engine, though why am I not surprised he starts to hit on Ilya as he leaves Blake and Sun alone. Poor guy just doesn't know when to quit. I actually feel sorry for Weiss with the guy constantly flirting with other girls after those two got on so well together in the past. but it's nothing to lose sleep over, and it does make for a nice bit of levity in between these two somber moments. So yeah, while Ilya's gonna be joining the Brotherhood and helping spread equality for both races on the back of the good foundations that the Haven incident gifted them, Sun isn't gonna be joining her as I actually would have thought, nor is he gonna be going to Atlas with the main group. Instead, he's actually inspired by Blake being back with her old team to make up for where he's failed as a team leader. So he's gonna be taking Team Sun back to his old home of Vacuo. I actually like this a lot better in hindsight than him just sticking around with Ilya to aid the new Faunus faction. While he's been a very entertaining and worthwhile part of Blake's arc, it has come at the cost of Team Sun getting no chance to truly shine again. And having Sun realize his missteps is great character development for the guy, so I welcome this different approach to his next direction. Plus, like he said, Blake doesn't need him anymore. Beforehand, he chose to stick around Blake to be the connection to her good past memories with the others and be the rock when she needed it. Now that her teammates are back, it's up to Blake to will herself forward without Sun to count on. It's a nice warm moment of comfort from a character that's often seen as comedic relief, and it is sweet to see Blake look sad to see him go after all he's done for her. But while it's goodbye for now, it's not goodbye forever. And I'm sure we'll see him again soon, as well as Neptune and Ilya. For now though, the two part ways, but not before Blake shares some thanks with a cute little kiss on the cheek. Of course, there will be some who will read into this moment with different shades of shipping glasses for and against this pair, but no matter what ship you sail on, you still gotta see this as a very tender moment between two good friends that are ending things on a high note after some rocky moments in the past. And it's the perfect ending for an overall very heartwarming scene. Blake's come a long way since she went off on her own, and watching her give thanks and support the two characters who have helped her grow stronger emotionally as a result was a lovely way to cap off Blake's current chapter as she moves on to the next one. And so on to the train to Argus, and we also get a glance at a certain old lady that I'll discuss later on. But we also get to check in on Team RWBY, who are in the same bunk bed setup as their Beacon days. I guess the more things change, the more things stay the same. And it's a brief but nice little wink and nod for the fans who can catch that little detail. Though I guess some things have changed as Blake tries her best to help out Yang with her bags. Also, side note, I love the character's specific bags that we see in this episode, especially Blake's fish bag, and I hope we see these in the RT store soon. But yeah, Blake's obviously trying to rebuild the bridge between her and Yang after everything that went down in the past, and it's painfully clear to Yang too, who cuts to the chase. Yes, the two have had some troubling times with and without each other lately, and there is gonna be some tension. But Yang says there's no need to walk on eggshells between them. While Yang admits that they may need some more time until the pair are as tight as before, even with all that awkwardness, Yang is still glad that Blake is back, glad that they're all back together. So Blake doesn't really have to fret too much about their bonding, at least for now. Good, I love this! This is a great direction for these two's issues. I'm so glad that they addressed this early on now that the dust has settled from the Haven fight. There has to be some kind of strain on these two's relationship after how broken Yang was after Blake left her so suddenly, following risking her life for her in Beacon. But with how much she obviously still cares for Blake even while she was gone, it wouldn't have made sense for Yang to completely despise Blake now that she's here, especially after they did share a hug last volume. Having them both bring up the facts so soon that they will need to sit and actually discuss things at least clears the air and avoids every scene until then being just them dancing around the topic, which would get rather frustrating. This way, we know the issue is a thought on both girls' minds, and we know that someday we will see them work on it, but it won't get in the way of them actually having some good moments together as friends or as teammates. And props as well to both Aaron and Barbara for making this scene hit the right beats emotionally for such a tiny moment. But just when things look to be at their brightest and Crow looks to be getting his drink on, in comes the Grim. Already the Tweedles are going at them and trying their best to take on the Manticore Horde, but things get worse very quickly once the alpha of the pack arrives, a frightening looking Sphinx Grim, which has to be the one that we saw on the poster given the similar looking head. I'll say right now that I love the designs for this bad boy and the Manticore as well, which if you haven't heard already is a reworked design originally made by a fan who collaborated with the RWBY for this wicked cool new beastie. And sadly my death flags were half correct, as even with a pretty badass looking electric spiked mace weapon, D stands for dead after he gets flung off the train. So it's up to our heroes to step in and clear out the Grim, though it's noteworthy that Oscar denies Ozpin switching control to help out. Instead he looks to join in with Jean, Ren and Nora by himself. I wonder if this is him trying to make a firmer stance on Ozpin's advice after he hijacked the farm boy's body to deal with Hazel. This could be something to keep a note on in future episodes. As the others are going at it with the Grim, Dudley activates the train's defense mechanism. Again, some more excellent details that help this world flesh out a little bit more. And it looks to be doing the trick, as is Crow and his incredible fighting skill with the rarely used Psyform, as well as this cool mid-combo bird transformation to get out of dodge and then go right back into the attack. Hashtag Crow for BB Tag DLC. However, for all the good the turrets are actually doing in killing some of the Grim, it's also attracting their attention towards the passenger carts as the Grim take them out. It's around this point that we're actually caught up on the opening fight as we see Oscar fail to convince Dudley to turn off the turrets, and he narrowly avoids getting wiped out by the incoming tunnel, only for Dudley to break his arm. Inside, Crow starts to grill the dum-dum hard for being so stubborn and not listening to his advice. But while this is going on, RWBY is alert to the passengers' fears getting worse and worse, which of course means more Grim. So with her cooler head and kind heart, she takes a softer approach to convince Dudley, backed up as well by Jean, who uses his aura amplification semblance to aid the guy's healing. Fantastic to see these two young leaders step up and show their maturity despite their age. Both have really grown up a ton since their school years, and seeing them both take control of the situation is definitely a welcome sight. RWBY continues her fine leadership skills by working off Nora's idea to use Ren's emotion masking semblance with Jean's power to help Ren's coverage spread across all the passengers, hopefully resulting in the Grim losing track of them, which is a great idea, if not for one teeny tiny little problem. See, Ozpin chimes in that even if they could mask all the negativity of the passengers, the Grim will still be able to follow them because the Relic of Knowledge can also attract Grim. Side note, I know it's nothing too bad, but it is something that is a little distracting. That being the Relic Lantern has gone from being the size of someone's head to being a small lantern fit for a belt accessory. I get that it was likely done to make it less cumbersome an item for the group to carry without a bag, but it was a little detail that threw me off at first viewing. But again, it is a tiny nitpick. But yeah, that is definitely not cool, Oz. For someone who promised the students that he wouldn't lie to them or give them half-truths, this is a pretty big bit of information to keep secret, since these relics are the team's primary goal to stop Salem. Even Crow didn't know about this, so this looks extremely shady, and it doesn't do the mysterious ex-headmaster's trust levels in the eyes of his allies, or us viewers, any favors. Though I am glad to see that it was Yang who was the one who confronted him on keeping such details a secret, following the advice given to her by Raven last volume. At least she's learning not to be so accepting of everything she's told, especially from Ozpin. But while the others aren't so happy with him, RWBY once again shows her level head by keeping focus on what's most important right now, stopping the Grim from harming the passengers. Man, it's so refreshing to see RWBY take such a strong stance as a leader once again and maintaining control on the matter. Obviously, Ozpin being secretive is still an issue and one that will need to be brought up in the future, but there's bigger fish to fry right now, And even though RWBY could have her own concerns about the matter, and cause she also might be doing this cause she's protecting Oscar as much as Ozpin, it's nice to see her take the lead even amongst a group dispute. She also makes the bold and brave decision that with them now having to protect the passengers and stop the Grimm from following the relic, the group will have to split up for the time being. Jean, Ren and Nora will protect the passengers as they split the train and then take those lot to Argus, while the others will stay and fight off the Grimm till it's safe for them to make it there themselves. It's a risky plan, and the look on Jean's face as he processes everything that RWBY's saying speaks volumes. This is the first time that these two will have to be split up for a while, and in such a dangerous circumstance too. Obviously he doesn't want to risk losing another close friend, but his head knows this is the right thing to do, and the two leaders promise to meet up again in August safe and sound soon. So the plan begins, and so too does a new vocal track from Jeff and Casey. Though sadly as of this posting there's no name for it, and I've had a very hard time trying to find decent lyrics for it. But the best that I can scope out of it seems to talk about a tough choice in a dire situation, even when hope seems to be weakening, which is fitting for the scene that we just had prior. And I love the use of pianos and horns to give the fight a bit more of a grand feel, alongside that typical RWBY rocking instrumentation. Also, while Blake collects her third caboose-cutting moment, she suddenly spots Adam on the other cart, although he's gone by the time that Blake has readied her weapons. I don't think that was really him. For one, if Adam was there and given his anger towards Blake, I doubt he would just appear in front of her and then vanish again without attacking. Secondly, for some reason, he's not seen wearing a mask, or at the very least, he has a hood up that's covering his face, which I find very odd. It's not like masking his face is hiding who the person is supposed to be. Both us the viewers and Blake can easily tell that it's Adam. And it's not him in his old clothes too, so it can't be like a flashback recollection of him before he put his mask on for the first time. Finally, though this is perhaps a smaller point, there is a sound heard when Adam is shown that is faintly sounding like the same thing that we hear when Emerald activates her hallucination semblance. So it could actually be Emerald playing tricks with Blake's head for whatever reason. Then again, it just could be a chilling sound meant to fit the sight of Blake seeing her living nightmare in person again, and is more than likely just a panicked mental image that she had in her head after recalling the first time that she cut off her train. The thought of Adam coming for Blake is still weighing heavily on her mind even after her resounding victory over him last time out. Back to the plan, and once the Grimm start to slip through the tunnel, Ren and Jean begin masking the passengers' emotions on their half of the train, and they continue on to Argus, leaving Team RWBY, Oscar, and Crow to deal with the Grimm in an excellent showcase of the group's skills and chemistry. Even with the four girls being so far apart for so long, they are still such a well-oiled machine. Yang is still a monster with her incredible strength, and even Oscar's doing a solid job in only his second ever real fight, though RWBY does give him a hand once he was starting to lose control. Good to see RWBY still has his back, and for as incredible as Oscar has been since he started fighting, he's still not a finished article, and he does still need support. But then there's still the big bad Sphinx that's causing trouble, even for Crow, thanks to its many heads and its giant size. But in a move that is wonderfully creative and a great example of the team's strong chemistry, some unique tandem offense pins the monster down and robs it of its wings, before Crow and RWBY show their skill as master and pupil ciphers to rip through the Sphinx with a well-timed dual slice. However, it still manages to let off a fireball before dying, and if not for the quick thinking of Weiss with her glyphs to anchor everyone in place, they all would have been in some serious trouble as the train bowels off the rails and into the snow below. Wow, what a rush of a fight that was on both parts. A thrilling battle that must have been so hard to animate on a moving location like this, and with the snow and wind effects, which, by the way, the falling snow in this episode looks brilliant, and props for making it look so good. a lot of seamless and well-directed shots chain the moves together so expertly well that it's so captivating to watch, and there isn't very much issues or complaints to be had. It wasn't just a great fight, but it felt like it was truly immersed in the location that it was set in, instead of it just being a sequence of moves that's dotted around a single area. And so with the group now stuck in the snow and without their means of transport, it looks like they're gonna have to walk to Argus now, and with a little bit more baggage than they first thought. Cause it turns out that old lady that we spotted a few times in the episode before stayed behind, and somehow managed to be okay in the train. This, ladies and gents, is Maria Calavera, voiced by Melissa Sternenberg, who has played Tiffany in Rio Rainbow Gate, as well as two other older lady characters from Rooster Teeth animated series, Miss Campwell from Camp Camp and the Yadala Elder from Nomad of Nowhere. Gotta say, right off the bat, I love Maria's design. It's that typical sagely attire that you would expect from a wise old winter woman, but the intriguing cybernetic goggles and the use of skulls as a motif gives her a bit more of a uniqueness to her design, especially the skull on her staff, which has similar markings on it that you would see from skulls on the Mexican Day of the Dead festival. Even her last name means skull in Spanish. And on that bombshell, the episode ends. So, what did I think of it? Well, allow me to be bold, but this was probably one of the RWBY's best episodes in recent memory. For an opening episode with such a simple premise as we catch up on the heroes, they head for Argus, but they are split up and derailed, there was a lot to unpack and enjoy, and the episode never felt like it was dragging on or wasting its time, even with the silliest, slower paced moments at the station, or with the small glimpse of Adam's current situation. Several characters shone bright in the social and action moments, with perhaps the biggest being RWBY. She was the leader quelling the conflict, understanding the situation, and making smart decisions, showing just how far she's grown as a leader and as a huntress. But she was also chipper, charming, supportive, and a real big goofball. So pretty much, we got the best of both sides to her in some very enjoyable chunks. Blake also had a great feature as she builds on last volume. I can clearly see the progress that's been made as she's more confident and honest with her emotions, but there is still an air of uncertainty when it comes to dealing with some of the present issues that she's a direct cause of, and with Sun not around, it's up to a still emotionally shaky Blake to push herself forward when confronting these issues. She also had a very somber-filled scene with Sun and Ilya that left those two on a very satisfying note for now, and I'm fine if this is it for Sun and Ilya for at least a few volumes. The strain with Yang is believable and a good starting point as they rekindle their bond, and I'm glad these two are willing to try and connect even when they do admit that there are some bumps along the way. And the splitting up of the team didn't feel contrived at all, but rather it had a fantastic setup and it delivered in making the moment sad yet hopeful all the same. The action as well deserves a bunch of praise, as not only did it have something for everyone involved, with the Yang and Blake ribbon combo being a personal highlight for me, but it was also a fight scene with a purpose, to split up the team and add to the Ozpin trust issue thanks to the relic, which is another plot point that I'm happy to see touched on, and hopefully we'll see more of that testing of the character's faith in Ozpin as the volume continues. The new Grimm felt like a threat, and were very well utilised. There was also some great little expressions and character animations that did wonders for adding more colour and life to several of the smaller scenes, and the music, be it vocal or background, was varied and very fitting too. The tidbit of the mechanical and whimsical tune accompanying Maria's introduction being one background piece that I especially liked, and I hope to hear a fuller version soon. It was a great tone and story setter. It also touched on and developed characters' motivations and emotions effectively. It was funny, emotional, action-packed. There was just a lot of promise for the future episodes to come, and it did pretty much everything a season premiere should do, and then some. Also, while I think the voice acting was stellar from top to bottom, I want to give the volume's first voice acting gold star to Aaron Zek for nailing all the right emotional highs and lows asked of her character. Well done to Aaron and the entire cast as a whole for a top quality performance this early on, in honestly, the best premiere episode since Volume 2. I genuinely mean that as well. It could easily be even better than Volume 2's premiere episode, which yes, it had the iconic food fight and the true introduction of Cinder, Emerald and Mercury, but I feel that this episode did everything it was asked to do, and it did so remarkably. It recapped prior events quickly and in a fitting way to not waste too much time. There was a sense that the RWBY have listened to the complaints of last volume by giving us a tighter, more productive fight, as well as making it an engaging one, and several scenes scattered around was compelling and it moved the story and many of its character arcs forward. It truly did deliver in lifting up the series after a very tough ride last time out, and it put it right back on track with an episode that I really didn't want to end. So, well done to all of the RWBY for hitting a bullseye right away, and long may this quality continue for Volume 6. But those are just my thoughts. It's time to remind you to tell me yours. Did you like the episode as much as I did? What's your take on Ozpin's latest secretive act? What was your favourite scene of the episode, and was there anything that you think could have been done better? Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're at it, hit the subscribe and bell buttons to make sure you get every video from me as they drop, and follow me on Twitter at ThatKaitoDan for more on all things RWBY, updates on future content, and more. But until next time, have a good day or good night, and peace out.